All right. All right, here we go. We're going to review WrestleMania 20, where it all begins again.
That's right. MSG, baby. Madison Square Garden.
All right, so we open up the show with the Big Show challenging or defending the United States Championship against that young knockout kid, or I'm sorry, John Cena. What did you think about this match?
What do you think about Cena? I thought that it was a decent opener, and it was good for John Cena because it showed how strong he was. When you watch the match, he's able to pick Big Show up over his head. Not as impressive as the F5 to the Big Show, just a little while a year earlier, which was a lot more impressive to me. But still, seeing the FU done to Big Show, seeing John Cena get a good WrestleMania win. In fact, I think this was John Cena's
First
first
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania match.
Yeah, the previous year he was supposed to do a battle rap, but nobody showed up.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I hate. I don't like this match to tell you the truth. I thought it was slow. I think Cena sucked in the ring at the time. It seemed like Big Show was just going through the motions. Not a good way to open up the show, in my opinion. I think the WrestleMania 20 undercard was pretty bad actually. I think this WrestleMania was great because of the double main event. I just think this WrestleMania could have been so much better, but still, I still love it because how could you deny the last couple matches?
yeah, and
Uh,
part of it is because a lot of the guys that for years they have relied on to fill their mid card to keep the show entertaining throughout,
we're in the
they
main
put
event.
it in the main event. So that's why.
All right, so let's move on to the next match. Yeah, I didn't like these matches. I know Jericho didn't like him either. That's why he suggested the Money in the Bank idea. So we have Rob Van Dam and Booker T, La Resistance, Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak taking on the Dudley Boys. Obviously, it was just thrown together. I mean, I think Van Dam obviously could have been utilized a lot better on this show, but Van Dam was they kind of gave up on him at this point. Same thing with Booker T. They used to have Van Dam and Booker T come out with that terrible song where they combined both of the themes into one song,
Yeah.
which definitely sucked. I mean, this was pretty much nothing to talk about. Like 5 minute match. I think Van Dam actually won the match with the frog splash. Really.
Right. I don't think this match does. I don't think this does anything for any of those teams. I don't think if you look at all these guys at that point, the Dudley Boys, it was like, really another tag team match for the Dudley Boys. It doesn't do anything for them. And Rob Van Dam and Booker T could have definitely been utilized better. I don't think anything was really going on for them at the time except for the tag title. It's too bad we couldn't have seen like a Rob Van Dam versus Booker T. Maybe that would have been a decent match for that WrestleMania.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next match. You have Christian versus Chris Jericho. This was a great feud. They had been building this up for a while. Um, Basically, Christian thought Jericho was getting soft because Jericho was spending too much time because he had a crush on Trish. Just kept spending too much time talking about Trish.
I don't blame Jericho at all. God damn, it's just
And yeah, so Christian and Jericho. Um, this is a great match in my opinion. I really feel like they worked extremely hard. It was a nice, fast-paced match, and Trish Stratus turned heel at the end. It was a good win for Christian. Jericho actually uh, did the right thing and put the younger guy over his friend Christian. Um, what did you think of this match?
I thought it was a good match. It was good. I mean, it wasn't great. I think there was like one or two blown spots.
They
Uh,
edited it out on the DVD, so it doesn't matter.
so it doesn't matter to the WWE universe. But absolutely, it was a decent match. Two guys who worked pretty well in the ring. Jericho and Christian, and then it was a decent finish with Trish Stratus turning against Jericho and joining Christian. I just thought it was a great way for Trish to turn heel, and became kind of like a badass chick again.
The
Joining
chick kick.
yeah, joining joining Christian. Not a great match, not even a good match, but I would say definitely worth watching. Worth watching just because of what happens. It was interesting.
I think they did a great job on Raw because you really didn't expect a turn because I think Christian like beat down Trish on the previous Raw, so you were like, it really wouldn't make sense for Trish to turn on Jericho because of what Christian had just done to her, but they still pulled it off. So, um, but this whole Christian Trish Jericho feud, I think they could have done more with it. But if you guys can remember, Christian actually hurt his back like in May of that year, so they couldn't really capitalize on it. But
So,
yeah, then they brought Tomko into the mix and they tried to do a Jericho versus Tomko feud, and that didn't work out very well. So that was pretty much it. But yeah, I like Christian and Jericho. It's a shame. This could have been a much better feud, but Christian got hurt, so it was what it was. All right, let's move on to the next match. We had. I'm going to go on kind of a rant on this next match. We had Evolution, Randy Orton, Ric Flair, and Dave Batista taking on the Rock and Sock Connection of The Rock and Mick Foley. What were your thoughts on this match?
I like this match. I was entertained by this match. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought, you didn't have to take it seriously. I don't think The Rock and Mick Foley, at this point, they had nothing to gain from this match. It was really just so you put them in there and, maybe get a few more ratings. A few more people to order the pay-per-view because you had The Rock and Mick Foley on the show. I also thought it was a great way to see what Randy Orton and Batista could do earlier in their careers. So it was entertaining. It was fun.
All right. In retrospect, I would have had Foley versus Orton at WrestleMania. I know they wanted to try to build up the feud a little bit more, and they wanted to, just use this as a great match to build up the Backlash match. But that was kind of pointless in my opinion. I feel like you have The Rock at WrestleMania. You really need to capitalize on it and put The Rock in a main event caliber match. Trust me, I know The Rock won't admit this, but trust me, he was disappointed that he was forced to team up with Mick Foley in this mid-card match. And I feel like they just did this just to get Batista some experience, which is total horseshit. Come on, man. This could have been so much better. This is a joke of a match. They actually booed The Rock. The Rock was actually mocking Flair through a lot of the match. He wasn't taking it seriously. The crowd was booing him. They were going crazy for Flair. Orton beat Foley with the RKO. So it made Orton look good. I think Foley fucked up and kicked out of the RKO by accident. I don't know. I would have had. I know Rock wanted to wrestle Macho Man Randy Savage or Hogan at WrestleMania 20.
Oh, yeah?
I know he said that, but no, I think they could have done something. I would have put Rock against Brock Lesnar in a rematch of Rock versus Goldberg. There was a whole bunch of things that they could have done that would have been a lot better than this. So I definitely think they dropped the ball with it. Even Rock versus Cena, this is a huge chance to capitalize and do Rock and Cena. I know Cena wasn't that big of a name at the time, but in retrospect, definitely a blown opportunity for the WWE. This is not a memorable match at all, in my opinion. It's a fun match, but come on, it just could have been so much more. Rock at WrestleMania one-on-one against someone else could have been much better, right?
Sure, but I like I said, like you said, it is it's fun to see, and there were some later matches in that show where you were kind of expecting that big match feel, and if you had The Rock versus Orton or Foley.
Well, you know what? Let's blame it on Triple H. I feel like Triple H kind of went to Vince. I really, this is my gut feeling. I think he went to Vince McMahon and said, The Rock doesn't deserve to be in a match at WrestleMania, like a main event type of match at WrestleMania. Make him do the job and put him in a match with Foley. I really feel like they probably did that.
When in doubt, blame it on Triple H.
Yeah, blame everything on Triple H. Because he was taking a lot of the blame at the time, so why not just blame it on him some more? All right, so next up we had
Playboy Evening Gown match.
For higher ratings, we want Sable to expose her top. We had Sable, Torrie Wilson taking on Miss Jackie and Stacy Keibler. This is great. 3 out of these 4 women are extremely hot. Probably 3 of the hottest girls in the world at the time. That's pretty much all I could say. I wasn't a big fan of Miss Jackie. All right, so let's move on to the next match. Cruiserweight Championship match. Chavo Guerrero, Ultimo Dragon, Shannon Moore, Jamie Noble, Funaki, Nunzio, Billy Kidman, Rey Mysterio, Tajiri, Akio.
Once again,
not a good decision. Just because it's WrestleMania, you don't have to stack every single person on the show. Why not just have Mysterio versus Dragon? Why not just have Jamie Noble versus Mysterio? Why not just have a triple threat for the Cruiserweight Championship? This could have been so much better. Instead, it was rushed. It was, it was good action, but, what are your thoughts?
And that's what happens at WrestleMania. They, especially lately, they do whatever they can to get everybody on the show, and I think that's what happened here. And yeah, like you said, it was interesting to see, but it would have been nice to see Chavo. Yeah, they could have done a 3-way or a 4-way. They could have done a 4-way.
If from a business perspective, if you for WrestleMania, you really have to have a lot of balls and say, this is WrestleMania, this is the biggest event of the year. I'm sorry, but we don't have a place for you on the show.
Yeah.
It's just, it just is what it is. I think you really have to do that. You really have to limit the amount of matches and the amount of talent that you put on the show.
I think when you get on WrestleMania, no matter where you go, you get a WrestleMania bonus. If they're not on the show, they don't get that money. So I
Right.
think that's very important.
Yeah, I
They
know.
don't want to dick those guys out of that money.
I know. Yep. All right, so next up we have Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, aka two guys that really didn't want to be there. All right, so Brock decided he wanted to leave the WWE. I think I think Brock was kind of insulted that they took the championship off of him, and at the same time he was sick of the travel. I remember they made him fly to Africa to wrestle Bob Holly in a 5 minute match, and I think that was kind of what set Lesnar off. So yeah, Brock decided he wanted to go to the NFL. Brock was actually supposed to win the match, and this would have been awesome if Brock was staying because they would have booed Goldberg out of the arena. Brock would have had an awesome win over Goldberg. This would have been a lot of fun. Would have got a great crowd reaction. I mean, the crowd was still great, but they were kind of great for the opposite reasons. They just booed both guys out of the building. The only time they kind of cheered is when Austin stunned both guys. So, I mean, what were your thoughts on this
It's
match?
definitely worth it. If you haven't seen this match, to go back and watch it, just because of the crowd reaction. It's pretty entertaining. It's also really entertaining to watch Goldberg go, "Come on!" when they're standing looking at each other for 5 straight minutes. Um, so you should definitely watch this one. And a lot of
He's like, let's
interest.
go to work.
Let's go to work. That's what he said. A
Yeah.
lot of really weird facial expressions from both Lesnar and Goldberg. It's not a good match at all, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah. And you could tell though, like when they were calling Brock a sellout, when they were saying no goodbye to Brock, you could see Brock kind of had mixed feelings. You could tell he felt kind of bad in a way. But then part of him was like fuck you. So you could tell Brock was kind of conflicted at that time.
Yeah, and
Um,
Goldberg had to go back home and play with his 37 animals.
yeah. Um, yeah, you could tell Austin was kind of embarrassed. Austin was kind of like trying to get them to wrestle. He was like, "Come on, guys." Yeah,
Austin didn't know what the hell to do.
yeah.
So
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next match. We had Rikishi, Scotty 2 Hotty, World's Greatest Tag Team, Basham Brothers, APA. I mean, just another four-way. Yeah, I mean, obviously this wasn't a great WrestleMania undercard. Wow, I mean, just kind of thrown together.
yeah, no, absolutely. Once again, another way trying to get every tag team in your company on the same show. You sacrifice match quality. How are you going to have a great match when you've got 4 teams or 5 teams? How many teams? You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you got 4 different teams going against it. That's 8 different guys in the ring at
Yeah,
one
I'm
time.
not a big fan of having them do Money in the Bank every year. I think there's a better replacement than just having the Money in the Bank every single year. I mean, um, but yeah,
That's
but I applaud Jericho for kind of scrapping this idea because this was terrible. I mean, obviously, I think he went to Vince and said this four corner scramble tag matches just don't work at WrestleMania. So, let's move on to the next match. We have Victoria versus Molly Holly. Um, I think Molly Holly got her head shaved. I can't remember much about it. I don't want to spend too much time
No,
on it.
but to respect to the women's wrestlers, maybe these matches weren't that memorable because there's so much else going on. Victoria was a great women's wrestler. So was Trish Stratus, and Molly Holly did some good things in the ring too. So if there are any female fans out there, or even just male fans who appreciate women's wrestling, these women's wrestlers, Victoria, Molly Holly, very very good in ring workers.
Jacqueline,
They were
Jazz, they were good.
especially
The
there were
women's division was good in 2002.
very good.
It was good.
There were nights on Raw, and Gail Kim, who eventually went to TNA. There were nights on Raw where the best wrestling I saw in ring were from the women. So give them a little bit of respect. In that early era of
The
2000.
WrestleMania 19 Triple Threat was great, actually, when Trish won the belt. That was a great one. But all right, so let's move on to the next match. We got Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship. Awesome match.
Oh yeah, no, definitely awesome match. Eddie Guerrero, this was great because this was perfect for him. This match had a lot of personality in it, and one of the main reasons, even though Eddie Guerrero is a great wrestler, I think a big reason why he won the WWE Championship and why they trusted him to have the title reign was because of his personality. And you could see he put a lot of his personality into this matchup. Kurt Angle was a great opponent for him. There's a lot of really good high flying spots. I think Eddie Guerrero took off in a similar spot that Shawn Michaels did at WrestleMania 12 from the top rope going onto the outside. It was a great spot for him there. And it was, I mean, the finish. What did you think of the finish of the match?
Oh, it was phenomenal. Yeah.
You liked it?
Yeah. I mean, it was a WrestleMania moment. It was a creative. It was a creative finish. I really thought. At the same time, it didn't really make Angle look weak. So I guess that's what they were going for.
I thought it made Angle look like a little bit of a fool.
Oh yeah.
Because he pulls the Guerrero's shoe off. I thought it was a good idea. I just think that when you go back and you look at it, it's obvious that Angle pulls off his shoe on purpose.
Oh yeah.
So you've got to be careful when you want to do things like that. Sometimes you sacrifice realism for some of those good ideas that you want to have. So,
well, I mean, as far as the actual wrestling goes, this was a. I mean, this is just such a great wrestling match. As far as the suplexes go, it's just. I mean, you just as far as the mat work, I mean, it was just great, right?
Yeah.
It's a great technical match.
Awesome technical match, without doubt.
And there's some great near falls too. Angle. I think Angle kicked out of a frog splash. I think Angle. I think Angle actually hurt his neck in this match after he did the arm drag up the top rope to Eddie. There were some beautiful counters to the Angle slam in this match. So I mean, it was just a great wrestling match. And I know some people at the time were kind of disappointed by it, but I still thought it was awesome. And like I said, Angle actually hurt his neck once again after this match, and he became the SmackDown general manager. So Eddie got a nice title defense over Eddie Guerrero. There's one thing I want to point out in this match. Halfway through the match, half the crowd is cheering for Eddie, and then all of a sudden there's this huge "Let's Go Angle" chant, and then you can tell Eddie starts getting I wouldn't say he started freaking out, but you could definitely tell it was kind of affecting him.
Yeah, he's not used to. He's used to being the heel. Eddie's not. Yeah, Eddie was not. Now he passed away, but Eddie was not used to that. So he was out of his comfort zone. And that's something that Eddie probably never quite learned how to deal with as a face. How do you deal with when they're not cheering for you and they're cheering for the other guy? Right. And if your name's John Cena, you've been dealing with that.
They love Angle at Madison Square Garden, so you kind of have to expect Angle to have at least some supporters. All right, next up we'll move on to Undertaker going away from the American Badass gimmick and coming back as the Dead Man against Kane. Not a good match, but it's pretty much just the only thing about this was the entrance. That's pretty much all it needed to. That's pretty much all they needed to deliver.
That's all anybody cared about. That's it.
Okay. Let's move on to the next match. We had Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit for the World Heavyweight Championship. Benoit was wrestling 18 years, and he worked all his life to get to this moment, and he finally did it. He won the World Heavyweight Championship. This saved the show. This was amazing. This is the greatest triple threat match of all time, still in my opinion. It's just a tremendous moment with Benoit winning the belt, and the actual match just awesome here. You really felt like Benoit was out of it after that table spot. You felt like, oh, it's just going to come down to Triple H and Shawn Michaels. But then when Benoit got back into the ring, it was just like, holy shit. And the crowd was into it too. They were burned out. They saw a whole bunch of wrestling, and Benoit still had a lot of support. So what were your thoughts on this?
I can't help but get emotional when I think about this match because as a Chris Benoit fan at the time, you just wanted this so bad for him. Yeah, I mean, because there was no bullshit about the story. He'd been working hard for 18 years, to get to this point. If you watched him from the time he came in WWE, and you were a bigger fan, and you watched him from the time he was in WCW, or his short stint in ECW, he had worked so hard for so long without having the World Heavyweight Championship. He's the ultimate underdog. He was the ultimate underdog at 5'10". Great, technician, great in-ring worker, something that a lot of wrestlers have looked up to, something that all wrestling fans can appreciate. And the way they set this match up, obviously give credit to Shawn Michaels and Triple H, because not only are both those guys great in main event situations, but they made it look like, when Chris, like you said, when Chris Benoit went to the table, as a fan, my heart sank because I thought that was it. I really thought that was it. I didn't think Benoit could do it. And then when as soon as Shawn Michaels got, sort of bounced over the top rope, I was like, oh shit, this is it. This is the moment. and I'll never forget that. I mean,
Right.
I almost cried after that match was over because I couldn't believe that Chris Benoit was actually going to win the World Heavyweight title. I thought this was set up perfectly. What did you think of the feud leading up to after Royal Rumble, how he decided to switch shows? What did you think of that feud leading into this match?
Well, I thought it was very, very refreshing. It was, I mean, a lot of people spoiled it, because they said Edmonton, Alberta would be, that's where Backlash would be. So a lot of people kind of expected Benoit to jump ship to Raw. Well, I think Shawn Michaels played a great heel throughout this whole, not really a heel, but, the crowd kind of like, they just didn't want him to be there. So Shawn kind of got booed in the match to a
Yeah.
degree. But yeah, I mean, it was just great how Shawn kind of, wanted Benoit to just get out of the picture. So it kind of made the fans hate Shawn to a degree. But yeah, one thing I want to say about this match, I thought Triple H, he was so hated at the time that, if you were going on the internet, they tried to really make you believe that, Triple H was going to politic his way into winning this match. So a lot of people thought Triple H was going to retain, and then Benoit would win in Edmonton if he would actually win the belt. He would probably, a lot of people were expecting him to win at Backlash. So when he won the belt, it was kind of a surprise to me.
Right. I think we even expected like it was okay. That was like our safety thing. It's okay if he doesn't win tonight, he'll win next month at Backlash. But you know what? This was WrestleMania. This was the show. This is when you do it, and this is when it happened. Um, you know, um, Absolutely awesome moment for Chris Benoit at the time. You can't talk about Chris Benoit now without talking about what eventually happened in his career. In no way do I or my brother condone any actions that he had later on. But just at the time, you
Well,
know.
let me just say this about Benoit. As far as what he did, obviously it was the worst thing that could happen because it fucked up his legacy. Because now you can't even watch Benoit matches anymore. It's like you have to say he who shall not be named is Chris Benoit, which is a shame because he's had such a great career, probably the best of all time. But no one's ever going to remember him now in the WWE. It seems like they're pretty much done with even bringing his name up. But the thing about Benoit, I kind of see him the same way I saw Tupac. Like, I never really saw Tupac getting old and just like kind of just being a regular guy. And I couldn't see Benoit being that guy either. Like, I couldn't see him like becoming a D Malenko, like being an agent, coming out there, having the bald head, having a gut, just being a regular, old school professional wrestling veteran that just hangs around the business and helps younger guys. I couldn't see that. I think Benoit was such a unique individual that I just couldn't see that happening. So, like to a degree, like it just, I'm not saying it makes sense for what he did. Like it doesn't like, but I'm just saying like it just kind of makes you feel like this was just meant to be. For some reason it just had to go down this way. It's just a kind of a mysterious type of thing. But so that's pretty much it. I wish that Backlash it was Shawn Michaels versus Benoit. I thought that would have been an awesome match, just one on one. I think that would have created a huge atmosphere without Triple H getting in the way. But it was still a great triple threat rematch at Backlash. But yeah, this is an amazing double main event: Eddie and Angle and the triple threat match. Otherwise, it's a pretty dull WrestleMania. The undercard was extremely disappointing.
But
But like I said, though, sometimes if a show has a double main event, you could actually consider it a great show.
you can save it because you know what? People order the pay-per-view, they buy the DVD because they want to see a
Right.
great main event. The rest of the show is important too, but in this case, I think the main events actually save the
Right.
show.
This is a three-match show. You had the double main event and Jericho and Christian. Everything else was pretty much passable for me, or pretty disappointing, like Brock and Goldberg, which at the time I was extremely excited about. But Lesnar kind of fucked us out of the excitement factor. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. All right.